All right, what's up, everyone? This is a new episode of Sports Harder coming at you live on this Friday evening episode. As always, I am your host, Maddie Luke Warm Ice, and my co-host for the evening, as always, is Chris the Gorilla Binder. Mascot's giving me some barks there a little bit. He didn't like my intro.
Yeah. What's up?
What's up? What's up? What's up? So I don't want to brag or anything, but I'm pretty sure someone, I'm not going to mention names, had a perfect wild card picking weekend. So if anyone's going to be doing it, it's going to be me. I'm going to be
Yeah, yeah.
up in
Uh, look at them spaghetti noodles.
there. I mean, I flex my brain muscles from making all them good picks.
I made the choice. I honestly did not believe the Ravens would beat the Titans. I didn't see that happening. But I had a feeling the Rams would beat the Seahawks just because they've owned them this year. Like they've sacked Russell Wilson so many. Like you heard it, but even before that game, it was 11 times that they had sacked him, and he'd been sacked 25 times all year. Like it was insane. I had a feeling the Rams would get it, but I was like really hoping they wouldn't. That's why I picked against you to try to catch up in points because those were really the only two games that I even thought were like I had a chance of catching up to you. So uh, you win some, you lose some, right?
Yep, that is true, very true. But I mean, we got that pop bet going on, so if I end up taking that pick'em champs title home, then you're gonna be owing me a pop. Uh,
Yep, I know.
we got another side pop bet going, and it got brought up because of the next part and what we always do at the beginning of the episode, which is what's going down. So all kinds of craziness in the world of sports for this week. It's been a madhouse for NBA, for NFL, coaching jobs going left and right. Um, I guess we'll start since we were talking about a second pop bet that we did, Funko Pop Bet. We'll start with NFL with the coaching carousel. So let's start with Urban Meyer being announced as the new head coach for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now we did get David Short, but not long. To he did comment on our post with that. So let me read that real quick if I can get into it before the thing shuts down on me. Um, he said, "I just saw this. Wow, this will be interesting to see next year." And then I asked him if uh, Urban Meyer would take Justin Fields or Trevor Lawrence, and he said that Lawrence will still go number one. Um, now, Clay Travis on Outkick Fox Sports Radio interviewed someone and asked him who he thought Urban Meyer was going to take, and he also said that Urban Meyer has basically made it known that he's going to take Trevor Lawrence. But I'm kind of skeptical when a coach comes out and says that they're going to do something because it doesn't always mean that that's what they're going for, and they could be doing that to get people maybe to trade up and try to trade with them or something like that. So me and you have a side bet going that Urban Meyer, if he takes sorry about that, if he takes Trevor Lawrence, then I owe you a pop. But if he puts anyone else in the field, then you get or I get the pop if he takes Justin Fields or anybody else. So um with that, I guess, how do you feel about the Jacksonville Jaguars out of all the teams that they get Urban Meyer, that Urban Meyer didn't go to one of these like other teams that are looking for head coaching positions?
I kind of laughed about it because Urban Meyer's never coached a losing team. When he coached at Utah, it was with Alex Smith. And then when he went to Florida, it was with Tim Tebow.
Yep.
And then he goes to Ohio State and they won like one or two national championships, but they're always in the playoffs. Like, he's never coached a losing team, and he's being handed a 1-15 team
Yeah.
and saying, "Here, turn it around." He's not going to be able to. It doesn't matter who the hell he drafts. He is not going to be able to turn that team around unless they can pick up some really good free agents. And there's going to be some good free agents this year.
Yeah, and they have the cap space to be able to go out and spend some money to be able to get some free agents as well. So if he does choose Trevor Lawrence and he goes out and gets him some weapons or offensive line, or I think he'll probably go offensive line in the draft, and then free agency maybe try to get some offensive weapons for him. I don't
Maybe some defensive players.
Well, yeah, that's what I was about to say. I don't know how well Urban Meyer is able to coach or draft when it comes to defense. Like, it seems like he's always kind of been an offensive-minded coach. Do you think that's true, or?
Oh yeah, 100%.
I mean, is there a plus to drafting an offensive coordinator rather than a defensive coordinator, or which is better? Because we're going to go over some other coaching jobs that have been decided here, and some of them are defensive coordinators. So, I mean, what is it the old mantra, defense wins championships, or do you lean towards one more so than the other?
Really what you want is kind of a balance. Like, you want a strong offensive attack because, the NFL is very offensive based. Yeah, the old mantra is defense wins championships, but the last really good defense to win a championship was the Ravens.
Not the Seahawks?
Like, everybody's like, they had the Legion of Boom, but their defensive line was terrible. They never really got to the quarterback, but they didn't have to because the secondary was that good.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like, it's hard to say go defense or go offense. Like, we've seen both fail and we've seen both rise. Like Matt Patricia was a defensive mind. The guy was a defensive genius for the New England Patriots. Yeah. He goes to Detroit and doesn't do anything. I don't think he had a winning season the entire time there. Like, I think the best he did was an 8-8. But I mean, you have the good, strong defensive minds that could do it. But you also have the good, strong offensive minds that can do it. It's just you need a good balance. You can't have a coach that's 100% focused on one side of the ball. You have to have a coach that can handle both sides of the ball.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I've seen both sides as well. Like you were saying, speaking from experience, being a Rams fan, I mean, we had Sean McVay, who, was, this great offensive-minded coach, and he got us to the Super Bowl with a high-powered offense. And I feel like our defense kind of showed up in the Super Bowl, to be honest. That was a low-scoring game. I feel like our defense held up well enough, but everyone says his offensive mind was what got us, to that point. So, but a lot of people, like you said, I guess the last defense that won a title was the Seahawks. We've seen the Seahawks win one with the defense. We've seen the Broncos win one with the defense when Peyton Manning was not really doing anything at that time. He kind of had reached his limit on how well he was doing.
But wasn't that the year that he broke the record?
No.
No, it was the following year, huh? The year that he broke the record was the year they went and lost.
Yeah, that's when they went and lost to the Seahawks.
Yeah.
But they beat the Panthers. The defense beat up on the Panthers that whole game. And the defense beat up on the Patriots in the playoffs as well. So, I mean, it's hard to say, which is better to do, the offense or the defense when it comes to that. So we'll see with Urban Meyer and what he's gonna bring to the table and what he's gonna offer. Um, a lot of people were saying too, that he'll draft Trevor Lawrence just to be able to, sell tickets. But it's gonna be hard to sell tickets if fans aren't gonna be able to like come to the stadium anyways. So
Right.
um but let me pull up. I'm trying to pull up our page now here to look at some other stuff instead of pulling it up on my phone.
Yeah. So Robert Saleh, he was signed to a 5-year coaching deal to be the head coach for the Jets. And then who was the other one? The Falcons signed one too. They signed Arthur Smith. He was the offensive coordinator for the Titans for the past 2 years.
There it is. I just want to bring it up. Like, it's bugging me that I couldn't get this to pull up. All right, there we go. Finally. So yeah, like you said, you mentioned Arthur Smith. He was the offensive coordinator, right, for Tennessee.
Yeah.
So that's another offensive mind. He kind of came out of the blue. I didn't think he was really a big candidate to play or do. Can you turn the light on?
Yeah. I don't get how he got a job before Eric Bimini.
Who was that?
Or Benami. He is the offensive coordinator for Kansas City.
Oh,
he's a favorite. He's a favorite too.
I think he would be like, primed to get a head coaching position. That's true.
I think it's because nobody can really talk to him right now because they're still in the playoffs. So I think that might be part of the problem is he can't interview for it while he's still active. But you'd think one of the teams would hold out and try to get him,
Yeah, because I feel like someone like Arthur Smith would still be available even with trying to get someone else. I didn't feel like he was a hot commodity. I just didn't.
I've never heard of him.
Yeah. So I mean, he may surprise us and be really good. I mean, I feel like the offense for the Titans was good because he had a freaking beast of a running back.
Right.
So I thought that was the only reason why the Titans even had a halfway decent offense. But and then I think you mentioned the Jets, right?
Yeah, they signed Robert Saleh.
Yep. So the defensive coordinator from the San Francisco 49ers. Again, I mean, he's going into a terrible situation, and I don't know how the Jets having a defensive mind is going to help them in any way when they don't have anyone on offense. And he's got to decide, hey, do I want to stick with Sam Darnold or do I want to go a different route? And as a defensive mind, like, how is he going to know what's best for that?
Right.
And yeah, I just feel like out of all the positions, he shouldn't have taken that one. Like, he could have gone with the Falcons. He could have gone with the Lions. I feel like any other spot would have been like a better place than there. So let's see. I don't think we had any comments on any of those. It looks like another.
Yeah.
Was there another? What's up?
The Raiders signed a defensive coordinator.
Okay. There you go.
They signed Gus Bradley, who was the guy that created the Legion of Boom in Seattle. He was Pete Carroll's defensive coordinator.
Oh, okay.
When they won the Super Bowl. So the dude is a great defensive mind. He's been around the league a bit, and he's never failed to have a strong defense. Like he's always had like a top 15 defense. So hopefully he can turn that defense around.
There you go. Still talking about coaching and everything with that. We hadn't been able to mention or talk about because this happened on Monday. So Doug Peterson, gets let go as the Eagles head coach. They haven't found anybody yet. Do you feel like that would be a good spot for, a coach to go into with the whole Carson Wentz situation and everything? Because apparently Doug Peterson said that he wanted to leave. Not that he was like getting fired, but that he wanted to leave because he was tired of being told how to run the team and what to do. So putting that vibe out there, I mean, what person would want to go into that job knowing that they're not going to have very much control or say?
Yeah. I don't know. It depends on how much money they decide to throw at the coach. Like, if they throw enough money at him, they're not going to turn it down, But I mean, that could be a good landing spot for Eric Bieniemy.
Yeah, true. But I mean, the quarterback is not good there either. Because I mean, it's just like, do you stick with Carson Wentz, or are you trying to trade him off since Jalen Hurts came in and did what he was doing?
Yeah, I'm going to call it. The Eagles have always thrived when they've had a mobile quarterback, like a strong mobile quarterback. They've always thrived when they had Randall Cunningham, when they had Michael Vick, when they had Donovan McNabb. They've always done really well.
Yeah.
I'm going to call this in the offseason. Carson Wentz is going to get traded to the 49ers.
Oh, wow. Why do you think the 49ers?
Because they don't trust Jimmy G. So I think they're going to make a trade for Carson Wentz, which is funny because they don't trust Jimmy G because of his injuries, but they're going to go after the most injury-prone quarterback since what's his face? Sam Bradford.
Sam Bradford.
Yeah.
Hey, you know that guy, don't you? Remember that guy? Always getting.
The guy that you guys took number one, and he played one season for you, and then he was just perennial injured.
True. I was actually on my my church mission in London when they drafted him. So I got an email from my brother-in-law saying that they had drafted him, and I was just like, well, I don't know. All right. I was like, I guess we'll see when I get back. And then I got back and he was injured all the time. So yeah. It was just like, all right, well, I didn't really get to see much.
Nope. You see like two passes and broken knee again. Torn ACL. Broken ankle. Cracked ribs.
Right.
That guy, man.
So
no, but I honestly think they're gonna. So the 49ers are going to trade for either Carson Wentz or Matt Stafford, but I think Carson Wentz is more of an easy grab than Matt Stafford is.
I like that. Those are actually pretty interesting landing spots for those players. Especially, Sam or Matthew Stafford kind of coming towards the end of his career. He's got to jump on a ship that can try to help him win pretty easily now. He can't die on the sinking ship of the Lions unless he just wants to get paid. I don't know. But
well, he's the longest tenured quarterback the Lions have ever had.
Well, I mean, yeah, it was kind of like the Browns at one point, when the Browns had all those different quarterbacks, but they had like 84 different quarterbacks or something like that.
Something like that. It was like 16 quarterbacks in like 12 years or 10 years or something like that.
Yeah.
It was bad.
Yeah, exactly. So looking at the posts here, so also Dan Quinn, the former head coach of the Atlanta Falcons, is now going to be the defensive coordinator for the Cowboys. So he has a landing spot. Kind of felt bad for him too, because he could have almost been like a Doug Peterson and had at least a Super Bowl title under his belt, but then they choked it away
Choked.
from the Patriots. So, yep, big time. Um, so it'll be interesting to see if he can turn around the defense for the Cowboys when the Cowboys had one of the worst defenses in the NFL this year. So
Nope,
we'll just
not gonna happen.
you
Just
don't
just
wait
saying.
around.
No, Mike McCarthy's the coach. No.
um,
When Cowboys fans are reaching out to Packers fans saying, "Take your coach back," you know it's a bad situation.
we don't want him anymore.
It could be a setup to where, the Cowboys don't do well in the beginning of the season, and they decide to fire Mike McCarthy, and Dan Quinn's there with the head coaching experience. They jump him up to the interim head coach. That could be what they're kind of looking at is the future. Because Jerry Jones had a hand in hiring Dan Quinn. It wasn't Mike McCarthy's decision. Nothing on that team is.
Well, I was gonna say, yeah, I mean, everything is, the owner's doing. So, I mean, he was
Yeah.
went and drafted C.D. Lamb. He was the one that was just like, well, he's there, so we're gonna take him. So even though they didn't really need him at that point in time, and watch, they'll draft another offensive player this coming draft when they need it on defense. Um, but yeah, so another kind of area of another team where it's like, the coach doesn't have much say, kind of like what Doug Peterson was saying with the Eagles. He didn't have very much control. So another head coach, former head coach Bill O'Brien, is reported to be the offensive coordinator for Alabama, since Alabama's offensive coordinator is now going to be the head coach for Texas. Seems like Nick Saban knows how to do two things, basically. One, win national championships, and two, get assistant coaches or offensive coordinators hired as head coaches for other teams and other colleges. I'll let you kind of.
I would throw number 3 out there.
Huh?
I would throw a third one out there for Nick Saban.
Okay, you explain that while I give the mascot some water. He's scratching at his bowl.
Okay. The third thing that I would say that Nick Saban is really good at is he knows how to recruit future Heisman Trophy winners. I mean, he's had a slew of Heisman Trophy winners on his everything from running backs to wide receivers. He knows how to handle his business when he's recruiting, and he's really good at recruiting running backs. Usually his running backs end up doing really well in the NFL.
Yeah, that is very true. It was kind of sad to see with the national championship game, Devontae Smith getting his hand injured, because that dude, I don't know if it's just college or what, but he was a freak of nature on that team. Like, even when Ohio State knew that he was going to be their go-to guy, he still scored 3 receiving touchdowns and over 150 yards, like, in the first half. Like, if he would have played that whole game, he probably would have had like 6 touchdowns and like 300 yards. Like, it was ridiculous how well he is able to dissect the defense and like be able to create opportunities for himself. And like, they were showing him on the sideline, that dude is lanky AF. Like, his arms were like ridiculously long. Like, he was just standing on the sidelines just with his, his arms to like his side, and it was just ridiculous, like how long his arms were. I know we kind of questioned like whether he was going to be good in the NFL or not, but if you imagine possibly all the talks of Deshaun Watson wanting out of Houston, and saying that possibly they could trade for Tua and from Miami. Could you imagine Deshaun Watson going to Miami and then Miami taking Devontae Smith at the number 3 pick to give Deshaun Watson that type of receiver? Like,
Yeah.
that would like totally change the game for the Dolphins completely if they could pull off both of those things, possibly.
Yeah. I mean, that would actually be, it would make him an instant contender. Because they still have Devontae Parker. Well, they still have Devontae Parker.
Yeah.
They have Mike Gesicki, who turned into like a great receiving tight end. Came out of nowhere. Nobody knew who the hell he was this year, and he just blew up.
Yeah.
And I mean, they have a really good running back core too.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, it'll be interesting to see this offseason all the moves that happen and what happens. And apparently today, Deshaun Watson tweeted saying like, I started out at 2 and now I'm at a 10 or something like that. And so everyone was like looking at it like, oh, is he like angry? Like, what's he trying to say? And they're saying like this is a cryptic tweet. And I just think it's funny when people try to read into a tweet to try to figure out what a player's thinking or what they're wanting to do. When most of the time players nowadays kind of just come out and say it. And Deshaun Watson had already said that he's upset about how the team is being run. And I think it all started when they traded DeAndre Hopkins, to be honest. I think as soon as that happened, he was already unhappy. So
yeah,
took away his best wide receiver and got a freaking just a running back that wasn't even that good for him in return. So I don't know. I just have a feeling you were predicting like what was going to happen to some of these other quarterbacks. I am going to throw out a prediction out there. If I had my crystal ball and I was looking into it to see, my prediction would be that Deshaun Watson won't be with the Texans starting next year. So he'll be traded in the offseason or before the draft.
More than likely.
You're not supposed to agree with me. You're supposed to be like, oh man, yeah, no, that's dumb.
No, it's the dude's not happy. He wants out. Like, I mean, he is in a contract, so they could force him to play. But I don't think they're going to keep a quarterback that's pissed off, because at that point, he's just not going to care, and he's just going to throw the ball wherever. He's not going to play as hard as he can. Well, why would you keep a player that doesn't want to play? And J.J. Watt doesn't even want to play for the Texans next year. He wants out.
Could you imagine if the Rams got him, just have like Aaron Donald and J.J. Watt? That'd be
no.
Oh.
No,
just no.
No, I think J.J. Watt would probably end up with the Steelers, as much as I hate to say it, with his brothers. Yeah. Finish out his career as a Steeler.
Hey, there you go. Nothing wrong with that. Get to play with his brothers. That would be fun. Well, it's just interesting nowadays how basically, before it was back in the day, me trying to act like, I'm some type of old fart, but back in the day, it was, if you got drafted to a team and you weren't happy, it didn't matter. You had to suck it up and you stayed on the team. Now it's like, players can get on social media and complain, and then the owners or the coaches will figure out a way to trade them. All you had to do is just complain enough and they'll send you elsewhere. So I just think it's funny that players have that ability to do that now, when back in the day it wasn't that way. Free agency was never a thing, and then we all know how Mean Joe Green basically. No, it wasn't him, was it? Who was it? What was his name? Was it him? No. The guy that was on the Packers. Well, he went to the Packers and he won a Super Bowl. He was like that defensive player. He was like the
Reggie White.
Huh?
Reggie White.
Yeah. Reggie White, the first player to basically just be like, hey, like I want to pick where I want to go. And then free agency started to become a thing after that. But yeah, so I guess for that, basically now we can get into a little bit NBA news now that we've talked about all these coaching things that have happened in the NFL. Um, so the big thing that came out of the NBA was, and a lot of people have already heard by now, the Rockets trade Harden to the Brooklyn Nets. For the Rockets basically get 4 first round picks, and then some of the players that they got from Houston they actually traded to Indiana to be able to get Oladipo. So now the Rockets have um, Ball and Oladipo on their team, and then four.
Wall. They
Huh?
have John Wall.
Oh,
It's
Wall.
John Wall.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they got Wall and Oladipo and 4 first round future picks.
So hold on. Just they have 4 first round picks, and then they also have 4 future picks from the Nets directly. The 4 first round picks were a mix between the other 2 teams that were involved, which was the Pacers and there was another team, and I can't remember who it was. So it was a 4-team trade. Yeah, the Cavs. So they got Victor Oladipo. They got Dante Exum from the Jazz, the guy that was always hurt, but he was a little firecracker. They got like 2 other players, and then they got 8 total picks. 8.
Yeah.
4 first round and 4 future picks just from the Nets for James Harden.
Yep.
Like, that's ridiculous. Like, James Harden is not this like perennial, like, what's the word that I'm looking for? He's not a game-changing player. I don't feel that he is. I feel like he's an ISO player, 100%.
Yeah.
He doesn't play team ball very well. He can play defense. He proved that in the playoffs, that he can actually play defense. But he's lazy. He's not a good team player. He's all about me instead of the team.
Yeah.
You know, there's a saying in teams. It's there's no me in team. There is an I though, but it's in the a-hole.
Well, he is reuniting with KD again from his OKC days, when it was KD and Harden and Westbrook who made it to the finals, but wasn't able to get the championship. Now it's kind of similar. You know, they don't have Westbrook, but they do have Kyrie Irving.
Who isn't playing?
Yeah, Kyrie getting fined $50,000 for being at a party with a lot of people and not social distancing, not wearing a mask. So he got fined $50,000, and he's got to go through the COVID protocol again. They said potentially he'll be playing in tomorrow's game for the Nets. It just seems like with everything going on, the Nets. I thought the Nets for sure were going to get rid of him with all the problems he was causing. I mean, you go out and you deliberately break COVID protocol and put not only yourself but all your teammates in danger with not wearing a mask, being at some party. I don't know. I just get a bad vibe, you know, from him. It just doesn't seem like he's, you know, worth all of the whatever you want to call it, the stress or distractions or whatever. To me, he's not worth all of that to keep. But now it seems like they have a big 3 with Brooklyn, and they want to, you know, they want to try to, I guess, either go against the Lakers. I would assume because everyone thinks the Lakers will make it again. So it seems like Harden like needs someone like KD, you know, to kind of keep him in check and have like a supporting cast. Do you think KD is like happy with being back with him again, or it's just one of those things of just like, well, I didn't really have much of a say?
I don't know. It depends on how well they mesh together because, yeah, in OKC, they meshed really well. But at that time, James Harden was unknown and he was the sixth man. He wasn't even a starter. Like, he never started a game for OKC. He was always the sixth man, because they had Thabo Cephalosha and they had Russell Westbrook and then Kevin Durant and Serge Ibaka. They had their core. It could be good, but at the same time, this could be the implosion that you have like 2 or 3 guys that typically average 30 points a game throughout a season. Now all 3 of them are on the same team. Does their production drop? Do they all drop down to under 20 points a game at this point to make sure that the team wins? Or do they just fight over the ball and become one's a ball hog, one's not? Who's going to be the ball hog tonight?
Yeah. I could see it working like in the East, but I don't know once they have to play, whoever's going to win the West. I don't know if they could get past them, after that. So, but the East usually has been like an easier thing. Right now the 76ers have kind of been dominating in the East right now. So it'll be interesting to see once the playoffs start, because the regular season in the NBA, as I've always said in the past, isn't really that big of a deal. Like, seeding is not a big deal in the NBA. It's like you don't have to be the number 1 team going in to the playoffs. Like, that's not that big of a deal. So it'll be interesting to see once the playoffs start and then teams are actually like really trying and really like, scheming and playing hard and like, giving their all. So it'll be fun to watch and see this experiment of KD and Harden being together again, along with throwing in Kyrie Irving, who is, a factor of sort that we have no idea if it's gonna, work out or not, if anything is gonna gel together. People are kind of comparing it to when LeBron went to the Heat. No one knew if, he was gonna gel with Wade and
Bosh.
Huh?
Chris Bosh.
Yeah, Bosh. So yeah, every owner of every team, I think, feels like they have to get just like the 3 big names, and then they have a chance. And so that's why they went out and got them, and now they have their big 3. I don't know if I've ever seen a team have more than 3. Golden State kind of did, but they didn't have to go out and find, they went out and got KD, but a lot of their superstars were just their own homegrown. They drafted them and they brought them up. They didn't have to like go out and be like, oh, this guy's a superstar for this team, let's bring him in, other than KD. But that's about the only time I've ever seen it actually like go down and happen that way. So yeah, that was the big news in the NBA, and everyone's gonna be talking about it, especially when Harden makes his debut for the Nets. I just think it's funny how the Nets were like one of the worst teams in the East, and now they have like 3 of the biggest names like on their team now out of nowhere. I just wish like my team, the Bulls, could do that. Just pull 3 huge names out of nowhere from other teams and put them on the Bulls. Like, let's make the Bulls a great team again, like they used to be.
Yeah. Well, the Nets also have a really good supporting cast too. Like, they have DeAndre Jordan in the middle, who the dude's a defensive nightmare. They have like Spencer Dinwiddie, who's amazing. They have Joe Harris, who like dude can shoot lights out. So they have a great supporting cast. I honestly don't see them meshing, because they have 2 locker room cancers. They have 2 of them, Kyrie and James Harden. Yeah. Terrible. They're both terrible teammates. Kyrie, ever since he won the championship with LeBron and the Cavs, he has been nothing but a prima donna. Like, he ruins teams that he goes to. Yeah. And James Harden he was like, hey, I got a taste of being a superstar, so give me the ball. I'm going to shoot 60 times a night and only score like 35 points. It's he has a crappy field goal percentage, but he'll still put the ball up. It doesn't matter. I mean, that step back, I'm going to say it, and I'm going to be hated for this. It's travel. That step back is 100% travel.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, you do that in college, you do that in high school, you do that even in the park, you're going to get called for a travel.
Yeah.
Like, it's only in the NBA that's allowed, but it's because it's James Harden. Nobody else was able to do that. I've seen it get called. Like Steph Curry got called for travel for doing the exact same thing. The exact same step back as James Harden got called for a travel. Like, really? But I hope the team meshes, just because it'd be nice to see a different team on top in the East. You know?
Yeah, it was nice to see the Heat. I was kind of rooting for them last year. They were kind of the surprise team coming out of the East. So so that was nice to see. So yeah, I think that's about it for all the craziness that's been going on this week and all the stuff that's been going down. Something I guess going into the NFL now, obviously, we'll make our picks, but I kind of want to talk about the games that had happened and what we thought about them, and then a question that I had posted on our Sports Harder page. Unfortunately, no one ever answered it, but I kind of realized this the other day, and I can't believe no sports analyst, no podcast or radio shows, like I haven't heard anyone bring this up, and I just think it's funny that they haven't really brought it up. So I posted on there, the vets of the NFC or the young bucks of the AFC. So if you look at the remaining quarterbacks that are in the playoffs right now, you have in the NFC Drew Brees, Tom Brady, and Aaron Rodgers. And then in the AFC, you have Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, Baker Mayfield, and Josh Allen. Like, complete.
I mean, you can even throw Jared Goff in as a veteran because he's been around for a minute. He's what, 8 years in?
I didn't think it had been that long. I think like 7 years. But I mean, yeah, you could probably throw him in as a vet, like you said. I mean, he's been to a Super Bowl, but
yeah. Let's see, career stats.
See when he got.
He's 2016 was his rookie year, so 5 years.
5 years, yeah.
But I mean, that's longer than any of the AFC quarterbacks.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy to think that it's like the polar opposite. Like one end is like all of these quarterbacks that are close to retirement. I mean, they like everyone keeps on saying that this might be Drew Brees' last year. And then on the other side, you have someone like Lamar Jackson, who this is his like third playoff appearance, like it just baffles me for that. So if you had to choose between the young guns or the vets, like who would you rather have?
For win right now, the vets. For the future, the young guns. Like, I'm sorry, but I would take Aaron Rodgers or Drew Brees over any of the quarterbacks in the AFC to win right now. Not so much Tom Brady. Like, he's too much of a prima donna. Pisses me off. The greatest quarterbacks ever played the game. I can't say the greatest. He is the most Super Bowl winning. But I can't say he's quarterbacks that have quarterbacks that win more. They don't win Super Bowls more, but they have a better winning record. But as far as Patrick Mahomes, he's scary. He's up and coming. He's going to be, if he stays healthy throughout his career and he actually plays a long career, he's going to be hands down the best quarterback to ever play the game. So for the future, yeah, I would take him in a heartbeat. But for win right now, I would take either Aaron Rodgers or Drew Brees.
Wow. Okay. I'm going with the vets then. You like their chances. Um, Man, it would be hard. It'd be hard for me to go against Aaron Rodgers. I mean, especially with him basically winning the MVP, even though they haven't officially announced it. But I mean, everyone said he's going to win it, and so it just seems like you can't go wrong with who has the hot hand right now and who's doing well. It'd be interesting to see how many more years a person like Aaron Rodgers has. I mean, obviously Tom Brady's like the only one that's officially always putting it out there like, hey, like I want to play until I'm, what do you say, like 50. So I mean,
Yeah, he says he wants to play till he's like 50. He's 43.
so he's like the only one that like has actually like come out and been like, oh yeah, like I want to play for him. But like Aaron Rodgers or Drew Brees, like they haven't said like when they want to call it quits. So they just always the reporters always speculate, and they are speculating that this will be Drew Brees' last year, that he wants to spend time with his kids and he wants to be with his family and all that, which is understandable because I mean he's devoted most of his adult life to playing football and being away from his family. So, um, yeah. So
But he does want another Super Bowl. He did say that.
who?
Breeze. He wants another Super Bowl.
Well, obviously, yeah. I mean, any veteran quarterback that is the age that those quarterbacks are, they at least want to have another one before they retire. Everyone wants to pull a Peyton Manning, like just win a Super Bowl and then ride off into the sunset. Like everybody wants that experience, but not every quarterback's going to be able to get that to come true. So, um, but so yeah, so let's talk about the games that happened then. Let's start with the Rams and Seahawks. We'll just do a very small overview of it, of what we thought and everything. Um, so the Rams and the Seahawks, everyone is calling it kind of like an upset, which I think is kind of interesting that they're saying it's an upset. I didn't feel really that it was that big of an upset because I mean it was the rubber band match. We had gone 1-1 with them in the second game that we had lost. We had barely lost it. It was close. Um, but our defense pulls through and we're able to the defense is crazy good. Like they keep on pointing out they have the Rams are the number one defense in the NFL, having Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey, the top two players basically, they're saying in the NFL. So with that, I mean, what other than the Rams defense like playing well, Wolford gets hurt on the like second drive of the game. Jamal Adams hits him with a shoulder right into the head as he's sliding, which I mean, I guess being a Rams fan, I found it kind of dirty just because he was sliding. But
So let's clarify. He was actually diving forward. He didn't slide like a quarterback does. He didn't slide feet first. He went head first. It was still a bit of a dirty hit. I'll give you that, but it wasn't a slide.
fair enough.
So technically, he was still a runner. That's why they picked the flag up, because he dove. He hadn't actually hit the ground when Adams hit him.
Yeah.
But it was a dirty ass hit. Adams could have just come up and touched him. He didn't have to hit him in the head, and I'll let you finish, but that was bad.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, well, it was just one of those things where, like you say, you could have just come up and touched them, and Wolfer was going to be kind of our X factor in that game because they weren't planning on having a mobile quarterback, to play against. But Jared Goff goes in with the surgically repaired thumb, kind of does horribly at the beginning. The first half was just awful. But the run game picked up, and Akers was an animal. Did really well for us. Got a touchdown. Got over 100 yards rushing, which opened up some play action passes for Jared Goff, and he was able to hit Robert Woods for a touchdown to kind of seal the game towards the end.
Yeah, and Akers actually also set the rookie rookie record for most scrimmage yards in a playoff game.
There you
They're
go.
like 223 or 233 yards from scrimmage.
Yeah.
So between receiving and running.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, if if the run game still continues to go like that, I mean, and our defense obviously is still going to keep playing the way it's playing, then it'll be pretty interesting going forward. Of course, notable injuries. Cooper Kupp kind of goes down with a leg injury towards the end of the game. They're saying he's questionable for tomorrow, but he should be good to go. It wasn't like a season-ending injury, which is good to hear. Aaron Donald getting injured on a sack for Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson landing like right on his ribs. Reports that he has a torn cartilage, but Aaron Donald says that he's not in any pain and he's good to go.
Yeah, you saw him on the sideline trying to catch his breath.
Yeah.
Like you could see that he couldn't catch his breath.
Yeah. So hopefully obviously he's not going to be 100%, but hopefully he'll still be able to cause the havoc that he normally causes when he's in the game.
Dude, Aaron Donald at 75% is better than most players at 100%. He is going to go down as the greatest defensive player to ever play the game.
Hey, I'm fine with that.
Just throwing it.
I'm good with that.
And the dude's 6 foot. He's 6 foot. That's it. 6 foot.
And we'll talk about the next matchup because obviously they're facing the Packers, so we'll get into that after we talk about some of the other games. Another notable thing I think I want to throw out too that's kind of, I don't want to say underrated. I don't know because everyone focuses on Aaron Donald and stuff, but Jalen Ramsey has been taking the other opposing team's best wide receiver and shutting him down. Like,
dude, he shut down DK Metcalf.
Yeah.
Like, he shut down. Like, DK had a couple catches, but he didn't have anywhere near the game that he's had all year. Yeah. Like, I think he had like 28 yards.
Yeah. He when the touchdown that Metcalf caught, Jalen wasn't covering him at the time. So
yeah, it was Johnson, wasn't it?
I think so. Yeah. Anytime that Ramsey wasn't covering him is when Metcalf got his catches. And I tell you what, Denarius Williams, man, I tell you what, he came out of nowhere as a great freaking safety for us. Freaking undrafted, and that interception for a touchdown, I think, was like the best one I've ever seen because it was like a wide receiver screen, and he literally just blew right by the block. Like, the wide receiver was like, okay, I'm gonna block you, and he was just like, nope, and just went right by him, got it from DK, and just took off. And it literally was like one of the best interceptions I've ever seen because you don't think that a defensive player can do that on a screen. Like, on a screen, usually they're like far enough back they can set the play up. And he just knew immediately what was going to happen, and he took it for a pick six, and it turned the whole game around.
Yeah. No, I actually watched that play, and I was like, holy crap, that was beautiful. Yeah. And it was funny because he turns around because DK was chasing him down. He turns around, and you could see him say, I'm not Buddha. We kind of dogged Buddha Baker there too because DK ran Buddha Baker down. Yeah. But yeah, that was it was funny.
Dude, that's
just sideline.
That's just savage. Just savage. All right. So another game was the Colts and the Bills. A lot closer of a matchup than I thought it would be. But Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs kind of best connection, I think, this year, other than Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams. Like, they hook up when needed every single time. And Josh Allen made some crazy plays with his legs, and with his arm. I don't know if they just took the Colts lightly. I mean, the Colts had, a top defense as well in the AFC. The Rams had the best overall defense, but the Colts had the top defense in the AFC. Um, I mean, I guess with that, what would you take from that matchup with it, being as close as it was?
Um, I actually gained a bit of respect for the Colts in that game. Like they they pushed it to the limit. Like I thought, like they had a couple chances to actually win the game, and they just made some stupid mistakes, like going for it on fourth down, fourth and goal from the one. Was it the 1 or the 2 yard line?
Yeah.
Yeah, and missing, and then their top defense couldn't keep the Bills from marching 98 yards for a touchdown. Like that was a huge mistake. Like I get going for it on the 2 yard line because if you don't get it, then they're pinned back. But that's when you need to rely on your top defense to get a safety or get a stop and flip that field position back around. Um, they lost out in some places that they honestly should have won that game. I thought they played better than the Bills in that game. So I don't know. I gained some respect for him for sure. I still don't have respect for Phillip Rivers, but I never will because he played for the Chargers for so long. But no, I mean they had plenty of chances to win that game, and they lost that game. The Bills didn't beat them; they lost that game.
Yeah, the Colts lost it, yeah, for themselves. A lot of people saying that the Philip Rivers situation, that he might not be done playing football, but the Colts might be done with him, so they might move on and try to get a younger quarterback or someone else. Um, I could see like a Carson Wentz going to that team, and doing something, Um, so the Colts have a bright future going forward. I mean, they have a great rookie running back who did really well. Um, and they
Naheem Hines or whatever.
huh?
Hines, right? Naheem Hines.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, he's pretty damn good.
So yeah, I mean, I think it'll be a bright future for them. The night game was the Bucks and the Washington football team. Again, another game where I thought the Bucks were going to kind of just blow them out, and it was a lot closer than what I thought it was going to be. Um, you know, Antonio Brown's has been stepping up for the Bucks, and he's kind of been the X factor for them here lately, which is kind of yeah, well, yeah, yeah. But it's true though. He's been doing it.
I think the shady crap that he pulled, he should not be playing in the NFL. I don't.
Oh, I agree. I don't think he should. I don't think he should be on a team, but it is what it is, and the NFL bends the rules for people like that, unfortunately. But yeah, he had some catches and a touchdown catch in that game. Um, the Washington football defense didn't do too bad. They kind of tried to hold their own against it, but the surprise was the Washington football team's quarterback. What was
Taylor
Henke?
Heineke. Taylor Heineke.
Yeah, he maybe could have make a case for him being a quarterback somewhere, going forward. Because I mean, being thrown into a playoff game like that out of nowhere, and doing as well as he did, I mean, he could have maybe found himself a spot somewhere now because of that. Um,
Yeah, did you see those dimes he dropped? Like he dropped that one dime to what's his name? Terry McLaurin in the back corner of the freaking end zone, and like just perfect, like to where McLaurin was the only one that could have caught that ball.
yeah, yeah, that's what I'm saying. He made a case for him to be able to maybe play somewhere.
I think he'll be the starter of Washington next year. I do.
Hey, there you go. I mean, at least have a competition, during the off season, have a QB battle, see who comes out on top. But they at least given themselves opportunities going forward. Um, so yeah, Bucks end up winning that game, and then the Sunday games, the Ravens and the Titans. The Titans were putting it on the Ravens there at first. I thought the Titans were going to run away with it, but they couldn't run the ball to save their lives. I think Henry only had like 44 yards in that game, something like that.
Yeah, it was bad.
So, and he was mad about it too. Like he was like, cussing on the sideline and stuff. And the coach had to come over and, try to talk to him and calm him down and everything. And they just weren't able to get the ball going with him. And I think that's what ended up, costing them the game in the end. And the Ravens, I'll give them credit. They stuck with what is working, which is running the ball with Lamar. And that scramble that he had for that touchdown was insane. Like he turned on the jets and flew by everyone. Like when I was watching that live, I was just like, "Holy crap, he's hauling. Like he is going fast." And the commentators always say, you can't practice that speed. Like you can't practice that at practice, like until you actually play against him, and then exactly like how quick he is. Um, like are the Ravens like peaking at the right time right now when it comes to all of this? Because everyone kind of thought that they were, you know, done once they, lost to the Steelers and then they lost a couple other games and everyone thought that they were done.
Yeah, I honestly didn't even think they'd make the playoffs. So yeah, they peaked at the exact right time. They ended the season on a win streak. They've stepped up. They got the revenge against the Titans, and saying that like you can't practice that speed unless you play against it. The Titans have played against it. They shut it down, and then this year they just let it go. Like, yeah, I mean, I think they're peaking at the right time, but I think they've reached their peak.
Ah, hey, there you go. Well, it'll be interesting to see like you said, they got the revenge. The big story was Marcus Peters and the defense dancing on the Titans logo when they got the interception at the end of the game to seal it. They were stomping on the logo and dancing on the logo and everything, and I guess that was revenge for when the Titans were doing that at pregame warm up last time they played in Baltimore. Um, I still don't like it. I know it was like a big thing. Everyone was just like, "Oh, I love seeing that. It's like so dramatic and drama and everything. It's part of the game." And I don't know. Me personally, I just don't like seeing it. Whether the Titans did that to their logo on their field, I don't think it's still a thing you should retaliate with. Like, and Juju, did it on the Bengals logo, and then he got blown up and destroyed. So I just don't know why that's a thing this year. Why people are trying to dance on the logo and be disrespectful like that? Because I mean, kids are gonna try to do that, and copy.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree with you 100% on that. I think it's disrespectful. I think it's not part of the game. I mean, you can go all the way back to um, T.O. when he was with the Eagles and he went out on the Cowboy star. They went to set the ball down on the Cowboy star, and dude blew him up,
Yeah.
like straight laid him out. Like he flew like 5 or 10 yards. Like it was a hell of a hit. But I mean, it's disrespectful. The teams take pride in their logo. They take pride in their team. I mean, the Rams logo this year is a little bit ugly, but but they still take pride in it because that's their team. It doesn't matter if you've played for other teams before. The team you're on is the team you like. Hit them on the field, hurt them. Don't hit them and show them. Look, don't disrespect my team.
Yeah, yeah, I definitely agree with you, 110%. Um, the other game, well, the next game, the mid game was the Saints and the Bears. Um, it was a little close there for a little while. It was something I think that killed the momentum of the Bears was that trick play that they did with the lateral, and then Trubisky dropped it right into the arms of the wide receiver, and no one was even around him, and he straight up just looked it through his hands and just completely missed it. And as soon as the Bears missed that easy touchdown, I was like, yeah, it's over. It's done. Like they would have had the Saints on the ropes at that point because they would have been ahead. I'm not saying the Saints couldn't have come back, but the momentum would have shifted greatly if they would have hit that touchdown pass and Wims just completely whiffs on it and it goes right through his arms. So and then Drew Brees did, Drew Brees things, and the Saints ended up dominating the rest of the game.
Yeah. I want to throw it out there about Mims. He missed that catch and he missed another touchdown catch. So there was two. There's one in like the third quarter that was like Mitch Trubisky threw perfect right through his hands again. He missed two, but Mims, the last time that the Bears faced the Saints, he's the one that went up and smacked Gardner Johnson in the face and started that fight and got ejected. So it's the same guy.
Yeah. Tell you what, man, karma.
Nope.
So yeah, and then the night game, which was I think the most shocking game out of all the games from Wild Card Weekend, the Browns and the Steelers. The score doesn't really show how bad the Browns were putting it on the Steelers in the first half, and then the Browns kind of a little bit, and let the Steelers start coming back, and then the Browns were like, all right, let's score a couple more and go ahead again, like. And Baker Mayfield was interviewed after the game. He even admitted, he said, yeah, we kind of let up too much and let them kind of come back. So he even admitted that, they kind of let the Steelers get back into the game when they really shouldn't have. But what an atrocious game by Ben Roethlisberger. Like, I think because they had to try to throw the ball to get back into the game. He ended up throwing for like over 500 yards, and I think he got like 5 touchdowns, but he also threw 5 picks. Oh, 3.
Three touchdowns, 5 picks. But let's start with the first play of the game. Like, first play from scrimmage, Maurkice Pouncey snaps it over Roethlisberger's head. The Browns recover it in the end zone. Touchdown, 7 seconds into the game.
Right.
And then the very next drive, Roethlisberger hands it off to Connor. Connor runs it for like a yard. Then the next play, Roethlisberger steps back, pick. Like, what the hell's going on? But, I mean, you and I called it. We said the Browns are coming hungry. Yeah. We said that. We're like, the Browns are coming hungry.